If you have heard of the movie The Conjuring or the name The Warrens, then you've probably have a thought of what it is, or at least know of its existence. Well, if you don't, that is okay. The two Warrens of Ed and Lorraine were born in the years of 1926 and 1927, and they were paranormal investigators and demonologists born in Connecticut. And they have plenty of cases you probably know about and reports that are still talked about this day by almost everyone in the horror or paranormal community, such as Annabelle or Amityville horror stories. They've investigated for nearly 50 years and they retired, and then eventually Ed Warren passed in 2006 and Lorraine in 2019. It wasn't until their iconic museum with all their haunted artifacts closed its door after its 67-year run, which was just initially the Warrens' home. But now it just sits there empty, owned by their daughter Judy Warren with those artifacts inside. After years followed, these stories lingered, and it wasn't until a matter of time Hollywood came for the cash grab to publicize these hauntings into movies. The year was 2013, and it was the start of the new Conjuring series or universe, with director James Wan and famous actors Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson playing Ed Lorraine. With the movie earning $137 million at the box office, to say the movie did poorly was more than inaccurate. The movie continued production in 2021 with 9 movies in the series and a few more still to come in the year of 2023. Today we will look at 3 cases talking about what happened actually and the truth versus the actual publicized movie version of it. They all share this storyline with paranormal horror that the Warrens occurred, right? Well, today we're going to find out the truth behind the movie and the actual reality of it. What did the Warren family actually find? What was fiction? What was made for Hollywood? What was fact? What was cap? Let's find out. But before we start today's video, I just want to say sorry for the late upload. I recently just got super sick and I haven't been able to do research for this video. And also you probably see that this is a decently long video, so I had to take a lot more time on doing my homework on it. And I also just want to say thank you, holy shit, for the love and support on the channel. It's constantly growing every day and I'm seeing people share it through Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, and I just want to say thank you. And we're almost even at 1,000 subscribers, which now saying out loud actually sounds like fake because I've always wanted that as a kid growing up. So thank you again. But without further ado, without messing around more, let's get into the video. Before I talk about the Warrens, I will say I'm not going to go into much about them because this video would spiral into something extremely long and something else that I don't want to focus on. I mainly want to focus on what's real versus fake, but if you do want to know a lot more about the Warrens, and I mean a shit ton, watch Armchair Investigators video, top of the description. They have an amazing long video about the Warrens and I think is a great video you should check out. But Edward Warren Minnie and Lorraine Rita Warren were both born in Bridgeport, and the two got married in 1945 and birthed their one child, Judy, in 1951. The whole investigation side of the Warrens started when Lorraine said she was clairvoyant, meaning a person who claims to have a supernatural ability to perceive events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. Ed was a trained demonologist and a Catholic. The two then founded the New England Society for Psychic Research in 1952. This was just the start of their terrifying journey that would follow to their many cases in the future. So before we continue forward with the rest of the cases, I just want to tell you guys how I'm going to format them so you're not confused or jumping around the video and lost. So what I'm going to do is first give you a summary about the actual case the Warrens occurred, and then I will be talking about the movie version and what they got wrong and what was dramatized and what was fiction. Fact versus cap, basically what we'll be doing, and yeah, and kind of give it a rating of how well they executed based off of the true story. Makes sense? Alright, let's do this. In 1971, the Perron family relocated to a 14-room farmhouse situated in Harrisfield, Rhode Island. The family, consisting of Carolyn and Roger and their 5 daughters, observed peculiar occurrences that commenced soon as they arrived on this new land. Upon investigating the history of the home, it was revealed that the property had been owned by the same family for 8 consecutive generations. However, a disturbing pattern emerged as it would discover that numerous family members had met their demise under weird or mysterious gruesome circumstances. Specifically, 7 children had died from drowning in a nearby lake. 1 individual had been a victim of murder, and a handful had committed suicide by hanging themselves in the attic. They claimed that this was all doing because of a woman named Bathsheba. In the mid-1800s, Bathsheba lived on Perron's property, and it was rumored that she practiced Satanism, and there were indications that she may have played a role in the neighbor's child's death, although there was no legal proceedings that were conducted. She was laid to rest in a nearby Baptist cemetery located in downtown Harrisville, which you can still see today. According to the Perron family, they believed that Bathsheba's spirit was responsible for their afflictions. They claimed that there was many other haunting spirits that roamed, but Bathsheba was possibly the beacon or the main responsible spirit for the things that they occurred here. During the decade that the family resided in the house, the Warrens visited multiple times to investigate. On one occasion, Lorraine held a seance to make contact with the spirits and believed to be the haunting of the family. While conducting the seance, Carolyn Perron was reportedly possessed, speaking in an unknown language and levitating in a chair. Roger asked the Warrens to leave after the seance was occurred because he was concerned for his wife's mental state. The family, facing financial instability, stayed in the house until 1980 when they were finally able to move. It was only then that the spirits quieted down and the haunting activity came to a stop. Now, at least this film, it wasn't really dramatized as much as you would think, or at least that we know of. And in the movie, the family is possessed by a witch named Bathsheba. Now, it's not confirmed if Bathsheba was actually a witch like she was portrayed in the movie, but she was a real human with her grave still plotted. Another reporter confirmation that the seance, Andrea, the oldest daughter, stated, saying, thought I was gonna pass out. Andrea said, my mother began to speak with a language not in this world and a voice not her own. Her chair levitated and she was thrown across the room. Though the movie version of this event tops with Ed performing an exorcism rather than a seance, he didn't actually do this because Ed wasn't a Catholic priest. The movie has been topped by the director James Wan and the Perron family to be a direct story of the true reality of what actually happened. And now this house is mainly used for content creators for views or paranormal activity, which you can see on screen if you just Google Conjuring House 3 a.m. or 24 hours. The list goes on. But as of right now, from the Perron family itself and the director, this was nearly identical from what they shown in the movie to actual reality. But let's get into another film and see how much that's changed. In 1970, a mother bought a Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store as a birthday present for her daughter Donna, who was about to graduate from college with a nursing degree. Donna shared a little apartment with her roommate Angie, who was also a nurse at the time. Donna placed the doll on her bed as a decoration, but both she and Angie soon started to notice something strange and eerie about the doll. It appeared to move around the house with small movements at first, as it would change its arms or it's just the way it was standing, but the movement became a lot more noticeable as time progressed. The two friends would come home to find the doll in a completely different room, sometimes with its legs crossed or its arms even folded, other times upright on its own 2 bare feet. Donna would occasionally leave the doll on the couch before leaving for work, only to find it back in her room on her bed with the door closed as she returned. As much as this disturbed the two, the doll could also write. Approximately a month after their encounters, Donna and Angie stumbled upon messages with parchment paper with phrases like "help us" and "help Lou." Apparently penned a child's hand type of writing in a way. The eerie aspect of the notes wasn't of their content, but rather how it was given, as at the time Donna did not even have parchment paper in the house, leaving it to where the hell the paper even came from. It wasn't even till they found a red-like substance on the doll, starting to seek actual evidence. They decided to hold a seance for the doll to find out who she actually was. She was Annabelle. Before the apartments were constructed, Annabelle lived on the property and remembers those times fondly. Unfortunately, tragedy struck when she was only 7 years old, and her lifeless body was discovered in the field where the apartment complex now stands. Now, it may sound cute and sad that a soul is just stuck within a doll who wants to be a kid again, but that's actually extremely far from the truth. Back to the comment or the writing that the doll made about Lou. Who the hell was that? According to some articles, Lou was Angie's fiance, but what we do know that Lou was friends with Donna and Angie, and Lou actually never liked the doll. He had actually warned Donna on several occasions that this was malevolent and this needed to be gone. However, Donna had a sentimental attachment to the doll and disregarded Lou's concerns. The decision proved to be a grave mistake, though. One night, Lou woke up from a deep sleep in a panic due to a recurring nightmare. However, this time, it was different. He was awake but just unable to move as he was paralyzed. He looked around the room and noticed Annabelle the doll slowly drifting up his leg, moving over to his chest and then suddenly stopping. The next thing he knew, the doll was choking him. Lou was paralyzed and struggling to breathe, and he eventually blacked out from asphyxiation. When he woke up the next morning, he knew for certain that it wasn't a dream. There was one more instance that the doll did to Lou that he would just never forget. After an odd occurrence, just like last time that Lou had with the doll, he noticed something on his chest. It was blood. When he opened his shirt, he noticed 7 claw-like marks on his chest, 3 running vertically and 4 horizontally. The marks were hot to the touch, almost like burns. However, to his surprise, the scratches started to heal extremely fast, and half of them disappearing by the following day, and all of them gone by the second one. The Warrens eventually got involved and found out that the doll was not possessed, but rather controlled by an inhuman entity. It is known as a fact that spirits do not take possessions of lifeless objects such as toys or buildings, but they can attach themselves to individuals. The Annabelle case involved an inhuman spirit attaching itself to an object. The spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll. It was looking to possess a human. The spirit, or in this case an inhuman demonic spirit, was essentially the infestation stage of the phenomenon. It first began moving the doll around the apartment by means of teleportation to arouse the occupants' curiosity in hopes that they would give it recognition. Now, this is all I'm going to say for the Annabelle story because this thing does go really deep and I don't want to just talk about the whole Annabelle story, but this is what you mainly need to know so we can dive deeper into the movie. So I think the main thing we can pull from the difference of the use of Annabelle was the doll itself. One was a plush Raggedy Ann doll and one was this eerie vintage porcelain doll. We also noticed that the doll was given in the movie to a wife by a husband as a gift for their pregnancy. We also find a backstory in the movie of the previous owners of the dolls being a Satanist, which could lead to the reason for the demonic possession, but in reality that never actually happened. Angie or Donna would have never even encountered any type of Satanists prior to even the doll. Also in the movie, we found that the husband, Eric, is trying to constantly dispose of the doll, but in reality, this is only partially true. Lou did try to discard the doll, but this was near the time ending of his occurrences with the doll. There was actually no seance that was dictated in the film, which it kind of upset me because it looks like this was pretty crucial to finding out more of Annabelle, and they just did this really awkwardly in the movie. Now also in the movie there was extreme abuse and fires in the apartment that the couple lived in, but this actually never even happened. Of course some abuse did happen, but not the way it was shown in the film. There were also a few extra added characters in the movie, but that was understandable. That was more needed for plot and overall the connections between that. But overall, the connection between the movie and the reality of it was decent, I would say. I can see where they added it for Hollywood and where I can see where they tried to connect it. And I overall say they did it pretty damn well. While checking in on her daughters, Margaret and Janet, ages 12 and 11 years old, to ensure they were settling down for the night, their mother, Peggy Hodgson, a mother raising 4 kids on her own from newly being divorced, was hearing loud noises emanating from their bedroom. However, instead of finding the siblings playfully wrestling on the bed or making stupid sibling noises, she discovered them cowering in fear inside of a corner, with their expressions of true terror on their faces. The kids told their mother what was happening was the moving of the furniture in their room, and their mother simply called it silly, until right then it happened right in front of her eyes. The Hodgson family hurried and scurried across the street to receive assistance from their neighbors, Vic and Peggy. Vic entered their home to investigate and reported hearing particular sounds emanating from various parts of the homes. Despite witnessing a chair move across the room, the police who were summoned by the Hodgsons determined that the matter was not within their jurisdiction. Basically, they said, "You're on your own." Peggy chose to contact the Daily Mirror, which was a well-known British publication or a news channel, to look into the alleged paranormal happenings. However, after the paranormal occurrences happened with the reporter's arrival, the house remained quiet for hours, and it wasn't only till the reporter was about to leave that an incident occurred. The reporter was hit by a Lego. The company would later send Gross, or Grossi, I'm gonna call him Gross, that's easier, to go report on the situation. He would say, furniture turning over, cups filled with water, fires igniting, voices, levitation. Janet recalled of the time while speaking to TV the most frightening encounter, which was when a curtain wrapped itself around my neck next to my bed. Janet allegedly began speaking through a supposed poltergeist when they were in the house. Frequently, the young girl would enter a trance-like condition and communicate in a deep, raspy tone, asserting to be the ghost of a man called Bill Wilkins.
Right, that's good. Shut up, Perron. I'm 72 years old. I come from Conjuring, graveyard. And I have right near the church where Rita lives. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all make a cake and go to the pub, and then we pick up.
Bill Wilkins passed away in the residence many years ago and was subsequently confirmed that a person was real, and he had lived in the house and in fact died of a hemorrhage while sitting in the living room chair. Ed and Lorraine publicly claimed that the paranormal activities in the house were caused by supernatural forces. Numerous individuals expressed skepticism about the incidents, alleging that the two children were responsible for the erratic deception or pretending their demonic manifestations. Two specialists from the Society of Physical Research, SPR, doubted the authenticity of Janet's hoarse voice and subsequently observed the children themselves bending spoons to make it seem like it was fake. In fact, Janet admitted that she and her siblings fabricated a few events. "Oh yeah, once or twice we faked it just to see if Mr. Gross or Mr. Playfair would catch us. They always did," she said, according to the DM. Later, she would say about 2% of the events in the house were actually faked. The movie, which would later be The Conjuring 2, would add another character to their universe that would be hinted at and replace Bill Wilkins in a way. He would still be this old man, but later to be found as a demon who possessed a figure, as this demon would play a nun who would later have their own featured film and was a sequel on the rise. There would be another added character in the film that Ed would encounter named the Crooked Man, and yes, the Crooked Man was a real man, but he wasn't a part of the story or portrayed in the right way in this movie. There was more of a demonic connection in the movie, and even in a scene where all the crosses in the house turn upside down, but this never actually happened, or at least reported. It was also a funny scenario that the Warrens actually didn't really even investigate this case as much as the movie made it seem, as they stayed in the house for weeks or months, ? But in reality, they rarely even visited this home, and a paranormal investigator who was a part of the original team investigating the home came forward and claimed that the Warrens arrived uninvited and only stayed for about a day. Additionally, he reported that Ed warns that he could profit a lot from the case according to Dark Radio, but it will never be confirmed. Rest in peace. Now, this case was widely viewed as a hoax, and the movie did tackle this aspect very well. They also didn't mention the use of an Ouija board in a lot of reports on this case, but the girls apparently did use an Ouija board, but apparently wasn't the actual cause of the poltergeist. And a lot of people say this film was very dramatized or wow, I'm having yeah. They said this was a very dramatized film from the Warrens' perspective, and even an outsider's look as well. The Warrens didn't even do this case properly, and even if you go on their website, it's not even on there. Well, those were just 3 cases from the Warrens that were turned into Hollywood sensations, and there's even a 4th Conjuring film on the way, including spin-offs in the year of 2023. But do you think these films or these stories are well executed in the way that we see them? What does it better, the real story or film? How does Hollywood dramatize these films? Do they do it well? Do they do it to shit? Well, in my opinion, I think it's 50-50. Some films can execute perfectly, and I think as time progressed, we learned through performance skills. We know what works in the Conjuring universe and what doesn't work. Sorry, I just had to do that. That movie was fucking awful. In the end, I want to know what's your favorite Warren case or movie or both. And I just want to know if you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll try to keep my upload schedule consistent without getting sick again, hopefully. I just want to say thank you for all the love and support on the channel again. If you also have video ideas, leave them down in the description. I also have an Instagram now, which will also be in the description. So if you want to shoot me a DM there for ideas, I'd love to hear it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and good night.